Hello, this video will show you how to create value tables for a measure. Before you start, you need to make sure that you are assigned the measure as indicated by the "you are assigned this measure" at the top, and you also must make sure that you have a draft started as indicated by the stripes. Once those two criteria are met, you can continue on. You want to go to the Supporting Data tab, and then in the middle is the Value Tables section, and at the bottom of that there is a button, Add a Value Table. I'm going to click on that and then click on Create a New Value Table. You will name your value table and by convention you should capitalize this, and then a description, though this is optional, and then an API field name, and this should be similar to the name or the same, no spaces, and if possible you can use abbreviations. This API field name or variable name is what will show up in calculations, and so having it short will help keep those calculations more compact. I'm going to skip the measure parameters section because that can't happen until the value table has been created. Next, I'm going to go to columns, and I'm going to delete the default value that they put in there so I can start fresh. And then I'm going to click Add to create my new one. And I'm going to call it heat factor. I'm going to change, the unit to be numbers or whatever is the appropriate unit for the value that you're adding. And then again, you can edit the API field name to be abbreviations if your name is too long. I can add a reference here. I click on References and then click on Select. And I'm just going to pick Professional Judgment. And I can either choose the Choose word here, or I can click Choose from the bottom. They're both the same. I'm going to click here on Choose. So it now has a reference. I can add more if there are additional references, but for now I'm going to stick with that one and click Add. So now I've added the column, and then I'm going to go to the references. Now these are references for the full value table, not just individual columns. And you don't have to fill this out, but you can. And I'm just going to look for some ASHRAE references. We'll say it's this one here. And click on Choose. And then that becomes a reference there. And then I'm just going to click Save. And this will create the very basic value table. There it is, heat factor. Now I'm going to click on that so I can add the parameters to it. So to add the parameters, I'm going to go to Configure and Edit Properties. So now I can click on Measure Parameters and select the ones that I want. I'm going to use the Select All to select all in this category, and then I'm just going to select a few climate zones. These parameters are what's going to create the rows in the value table. Now I can just click Save. Now it's got the basic building blocks for my table, but now I need to actually get the rows so that I can put in values. So I'm going to click on Advanced Full Screen View. So now it shows again my empty table, but I wanted to create those rows for me. So I'm going to click on Permute 6 Missing Rows, and that will create the rows after getting me to confirm that's what I want to do. So I'm going to say Yes, Permute. And now I've got the values. So I can click on Edit Values. And now I can actually put in the numbers that I want as my heat factors. Let's say I don't have one for climate zone 3, so I'm going to skip that. And then click Save Changes when you've entered in the values. So now I've got this blank row. So I'm going to prune that one row. Pruning table rows does not remove the parameters combination from the permutations. It just hides blank rows from being displayed in this value table to keep it more tidy. So it just wants me to make sure that that's really what I want to do. And I'm going to say yes, prune. And now that value goes away. Later on, if I find the value for climate zone 3 and I want to add it, I can now hit permute one missing row. And again, it wants me to confirm, yes, permute. And then again, there's the blank row, and now I can hit edit values and just add in that missing value. And click on save. So I have now created my table. I can go back, and there it is. Some additional things that I may want to do for this. If I go to configure, I can also import and export or duplicate. So let's look at import and export first. Sometimes you've got a table that's much bigger than the one that I showed here, so you can do export value table after you permute the rows, and then it'll create a file that then you can populate with the values in something like Excel. And then once you're done and you save that, then you can import that in rather than having to do it all here from the interface. And then you can also duplicate a table. So if you have a table that's very similar from another one, you can duplicate it and then start from that and just edit it. A couple of other notes. Some of these tables have, certain tables have conventions for name, API, field name, and columns. And those conventions can be found in the statewide measure development and QA/QC guidelines document. You can get that document from user guide. And then there's the statewide development QA/QC guidelines. And if you open that up, you can see here on page 71, which is 63 by these numbers, value table conventions. So you can read about the conventions for that. If you wanted to then get rid of your value table for some reason you didn't need it anymore, you can click on that and again go to configure. And it doesn't matter which one of these you pick. We're just trying to get to that configure screen. I'm just going to click on duplicate. And then at the bottom of that list on the operations tab is delete. And so I can click on delete. And then again, it wants me to confirm. Yes, delete. And that table has now been deleted. That's it.